In today's video, we will be discussing the latest breaking political developments shaking up the nation, from the impending release of the Epstein files and calls to hold the Clintons accountable, to Supreme Court rulings empowering the deportations. Democrats are inciting military rebellion and military drug busts and more.
The announcement is coming a day after Tom Homan said in an interview that ICE is going to be back in New York City, that agents are going to be conducting operations and raids. Did you talk to the police commissioner about that fact that she was tipped off to that one in Lower Manhattan a couple of weeks ago? And if that were to happen again, if she were tipped off, how would you want her to respond?
Well, what I've shared with the commissioner, and I would also shared publicly, is the fact that we can never go back to the days where Eric Adams would go on national television and open the door to the NYPD handling civil immigration enforcement. That can never even be entertained. The other day, I was speaking with a New Yorker who broke into tears as she told me about her aunt, who had been visited by ICE at their home, at the school, at so many places of how she engaged with the world around her as a New Yorker. People are living in fear. And what we will ensure is the NYPD will be delivering public safety, not assisting ICE in their attempts to fulfill the administration's goal of creating the single largest deportation force in American history.
So
Folks, this is gold. New York City's commie councilman Zohran Mamdani is shaking in his boots over Tom Homan and ICE finally doing their job. He talks about people living in fear, but what he really means is illegals and criminals who shouldn't be here. And tomorrow he will be paying a little visit to the real New Yorkers are done with sanctuary city nonsense that it's turned their streets into chaos. This surge is long overdue, and it's about restoring law and order. America First is back, and these weak leaders hate it. The White House.
So this Epstein thing, Hakeem's people asked Epstein to come to dinner and meet him after he was convicted for fooling around with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, this is why the Democrats, they're going to regret, I think, ever playing around with this, and they're going to regret embracing transparency, though I'm glad they did. They thought, I think, that the files would never become public. They thought this was all a game. Well, guess what? They're going to get their wish. They are going to become public. The president's going to sign the bill. The president's been right all along on this. He said months ago, make public everything you can that's not classified. Now Congress is finally going to do it. And I think we're going to learn a lot, Jesse. A lot of people suddenly are going to get real reticent to talk about Epstein, whether it's Hakeem Jeffries, whether it's Larry Summers, that Harvard president you mentioned a second ago who worked for Barack Obama. We're going to find out a lot about a lot of folks because you know what else is in this bill that just passed tonight? It's got to be a searchable database so any American can go in and read the files for themselves. That's how it should be. I'm looking forward to seeing what's there.
Well, so are my producers, because it's a lot easier when the FBI doesn't misspell the name you're trying to look for. Hopefully we have all the names spelled correctly.
Senator Josh Hawley nails it. Congress voted to release the Epstein files and make them searchable for every American. We're about to learn a lot about the elite's dirty secrets. Who visited that island? Who helped cover it up? No more hiding. Transparency is coming, and the big names are sweating. Justice for the victims is finally in reach.
Mr. Chairman, there are two very important people that you subpoenaed early on, or excuse me, that you asked to voluntarily cooperate. They didn't schedule their interviews. Now there's a subpoena. But Bill and Hillary Clinton, if they continue to duck you, will you take them to court? Will you try to enforce a subpoena? Will you go the Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro route?
100%. We're going to go that route. We expect to hear from Bill and Hillary Clinton. Look, Donald Trump's answered questions for years about Jeffrey Epstein. Every day he gets asked questions about Epstein and he answers them in front of the American people. We've subpoenaed Republicans and Democrats. Two Republicans have come forward, Bill Barr and Alex Acosta. They did interviews and deposition, and those were tough, but they did them. They didn't back down. Other Democrats have sent letters that saying they knew nothing about Epstein, which would hold in court if something ever comes out that they did know something, then they've committed perjury there. But the Clintons have never responded. They're the one group in this investigation that's never had to answer questions in front of a credible reporter, and they've never certainly answered questions from attorneys or members of Congress. So we expect the Clintons to come in, or I expect the Clintons to be met with the same fate that Bannon and Navarro were met with when the Democrats were in control.
James Comer is ready to subpoena Bill and Hillary Clinton over their Epstein ties and arrest them if they dodge it. They stonewalled every inquiry. Why? Because the Clintons have skeletons stacked like cordwood. If they won't testify under oath, haul them in. No more free passes for the powerful. This is transparency and equality at the highest level.
Now we have a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court just cleared the way for Trump to deport illegals even faster. The High Court ruled that Trump can use the Alien Enemies Act to send Venezuelan gangbangers to a mega prison in El Salvador. This is a huge ruling in Trump's favor and a major win for the country. After, as you know, D.C. Judge James Boasberg ordered a stop to the deportations. So this is pretty significant. These deportations, Caroline, can keep going.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
Well, we got a huge win. The Supreme Court rules 5-4 in favor that Donald Trump can unleash the full power of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act for deportation. This greenlights mass removals of illegals. The 4 dissenters should be ashamed. The left would melt down, but the law is clear. Illegals out, safety in. Tom Homan, gas up the airplanes and fly them home.
We don't have any currently actual legitimate Sharia courts, do we?
Well, if you look at a letter that I issued earlier today, I did tell the public, as well as local law enforcement, that there actually are Sharia courts that are operating in Dallas, and they are trying to impose Sharia law. And I pointed out to local prosecutors, both in Dallas County as well as in Collin County, as well as to the Attorney General, as well as to the Texas Department of Public Safety, that what they are doing with these Sharia courts that we have identified in the letter that I issued today, they are in violation of Texas law, including violation of Texas penal codes. And so what they're doing in part could be considered a crime, but also clearly a violation of the Texas Constitution and our statutes that prohibit Sharia law in the state of Texas.
Greg Abbott just dropped a bombshell. Sharia courts operating in Dallas, Texas. Absolutely unacceptable in the United States. We follow U.S. law, not the radical foreign systems that oppress women and clash with American values. It's time to shut them down and protect Texas. Where is the Me Too movement at? Where are all the powerful women that should be up against this Sharia law? Where's Kamala? Where's Hillary? Well, we know she's hiding.
It is insurrection, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America's name should defy their chain of command and engage in open acts of insurrection, that the CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection. These lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace and never return to public office again for even daring to think, let alone to say these words and to say them proudly. But it shows what a dangerous moment we're in.
Stephen Miller calls it exactly right. Democrats urging the military and the intel community to rebel against Trump is actual insurrection. They're panicking because their grip on the deep state is slipping. They cried insurrection for years, and now they're openly flirting with mutiny. This is total hypocrisy, total panic.
What law are you talking about that's being broken? And then you said that he's implying that he might do something that they wouldn't want to uphold or follow through with in the future. What are you talking about specifically?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. Well, number one, the protests at Lafayette Square in the first Trump administration where he said, can't you just shoot them? Can't you just shoot them in the legs or something? That's his direct quote. And of course, the then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
That was not a military order. That was a comment. That's not a military order.
When that's coming from the President of the United States to your generals, don't you think that's a request? That's
I'm
a question?
asking specifically
number two,
what you're talking about.
Yeah, number two, he's also threatened to send the military into Chicago and other cities to, quote, go to war with those cities. Right? That is a very, very disturbing thing. Number three, he's also alluded to sending troops to polling stations, which is actually a violation of U.S. law. U.S. criminal law prohibits troops from going to polling stations. And he's alluded to that. So those are just one of many examples.
You're talking about
Donald Trump
illusions. You're not talking about actual policy. You're not talking about things that are members of our service members who we revere and respect are actually being asked to do. So when you see this video on all over the place, when you see this video on social media, I think a lot of people scratch their heads and they say, what exactly are they talking about? Are they talking about
Martha,
not allowing gunboats to make it to the United States carrying drugs?
No.
Is that what you're talking about?
Martha, here's a novel idea. How about we actually prevent things from happening before they become a problem?
I think that's what they're trying to do.
Jason Crow gets pressed 4 times about what illegal orders he thinks Trump will give, and he can't name a single one. This is fear-mongering. It's projection. And Martha McCallum exposes him effortlessly. The Democrats know they're losing power, so they're stirring chaos. And the best place to do it, or the place that they want to do it, is in the United States military.
The U.S. Coast Guard offloads over 49,000 pounds of illicit cocaine worth more than $362 million. In a press release Tuesday, the Coast Guard revealed this offload was the result of 15 separate interdictions by Cutter Stone in the Eastern Pacific Ocean. Blown up at least 21 vessels believed to be carrying illicit drugs since September.
We're stopping drug dealers and drugs from coming into our country. We're not letting drugs come through Mexico. We're not letting them come through Venezuela.
12,000 pounds worth $362 million was just seized at the Port of Everglades. This is a huge win for law enforcement, but this is just a fraction of the cartel's nonstop ability to flood our cities. We need Trump's border policies and cartel crackdown to stop it. Lives saved today, but the war continues.
House Oversight Chairman Comer said yesterday on the floor that you had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner and took money from him back in 2013. This was after he was on the sex offender list. Any comment on that? And will you be holding members accountable regardless of party affiliation if there were any misdeeds related to the Epstein files?
Was that a serious question or a serious statement from malignant clown James Comer that I had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner, that I accepted money from Jeffrey Epstein? What's extraordinary to me about the clown show on the other side of the aisle is that they lie with impunity.
The reporter asked Hakeem Jeffries directly, did you take Epstein money? His rambling non-answer and stuttering says it all. If it's nothing, just say no. The swamp is in panic mode as the files drop, and Jeffries looks nervous for a reason. All right, folks, before we wrap this up, I just want to say something real. America's standing at a genuine tipping point. You feel it, I feel it, and every clip we just watched proves it. We're up against a political class that thinks we won't notice, won't speak up, and won't push back. But you and I both know this country is waking up fast. And I want you to know this. You're not watching this channel by accident. You're part of a community that actually cares about where the nation is heading. So if you want deeper dives, calmer breakdowns, and a place to actually think things through, go check out my other channel, The Fence Sitter. I break things down over there in a way that cuts through all the noise. Also, want to say a huge thanks to the sponsors who help keep this show running. Keen Greens, I'll put a link to down below, and Dark Arts Coffee. Supporting them supports this channel. It keeps independent commentary alive when the big networks want us gone. And if you really want to be part of this movement, hit that join button, become a channel member, jump into the private Discord. That's where you can talk with me directly. Share your ideas, share your concerns, and what you're seeing on the ground. I listen to you guys. This channel is built for you, with you, and for you. We're in this together. Stay sharp, stay strong, and as always, we troll with truth. I'll see you in the next one.